Indo.
We're coming to you live from Wytheville, Virginia, where we're at the Log House 1776 restaurant here in Wytheville, and we've got a reservation for 1:30. It's 1, so we figured, why not go ahead and get this out of the way. We're going to read you the story about this place and let you know a little bit about the history. This is one of our haunted locations for our Haunted Hearts Valentine's Day special that we're filming. So, without further ado, here's what's going on here. James and Pat Green likely never gave ghosts a thought when they had bought and renovated an old house facing Wytheville's East Main Street. With all the labor of peeling off the old boards to reveal a lovely log house underneath, who would have had the time to worry about anything else? They renovated the place, playing up its oak and cedar log walls, the fireplaces, the hardwood floors, adding beautiful antique furniture, and at last they finished, and in 1976, the Log House 1776 restaurant was opened. The Greens knew their unique building had a long history. In fact, the 1776 date and the restaurant's name came from an account of the original construction date the two had found from when their rambling log structure was merely a two-story tenant house upon its completion. What they didn't know, but soon found out, was that in the early 1900s, their building had upstairs apartment for rent, and in one of them, a gentleman had hanged himself. Even that might not have stuck out to the couple too much, but had they themselves and customers not started experiencing and seeing things they could not explain. Before James, the owner, had even found out about the hanged man, a female customer reported seeing something disturbing near the men's restroom, and it wasn't what you might expect. She said she had seen a strange shadow sliding along the wall, and then the outline of a man hanging. Sounds were also being heard, like footsteps on the hardwood floors. But the most terrifying account happened to Pat Green, the wife of the owner and the co-owner herself. According to the book Haunted Highlands, Ghost Stories and Legends of North Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia by Joe Tennis, in which Pat herself tells the story, she witnessed some very peculiar things with a certain door in this establishment. The door is located near the ladies' restrooms. What is it with this ghost in restrooms? Anyway.
I don't know. That's a good question.
It's a latch shut door with a hook and eye latch, and it's to keep folks from opening it as it leads to a small private dining room. And they have a shelf there, and they don't want people knocking stuff off the shelves, so they lock that door.
Right.
To open the latch door would have sent things tumbling off the shelves behind it, so they secured it so that wouldn't happen. Well, this day, Pat heard a strange scratching noise and looked over to see the eye of the latch moving and a little sawdust trickling down from the shut door. This was startling enough, but the next time she saw the latch move, it went counterclockwise and the door made a shrill screech, almost like a scream, she said.
Ooh.
Pat got out of there in a hurry. I do not blame her. The following week, things got eerier when she was again walking past that doorway and she heard a click, and to her astonishment, that door opened about an inch. She understandably fled in terror. She didn't stay gone. No way was she going to abandon what was now a successful business, and she and her husband had built, so she prayed to God to make the ghostly goings-on stop. According to Pat, God answered her prayers because she hasn't witnessed anything else since the 90s. Pat is now free to roam about the restaurant, lounge, and gift shop worry-free. However, all one has to do is get online and check Log House 1776 restaurants reviews on TripAdvisor to see the spirit of Log House is far from gone. So if you ever find yourself near Wytheville, Virginia, call or book reservations online to dine in. COVID restrictions are in place right now, that's why you've got to reserve ahead. Lunch hours are 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Dinner hours are 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. They will also do carry-out orders here if you want. We promise you're going to love the to-die-for food, the friendly service, the rustic ambiance, and the spirits. Both kinds are apparently on the menu here at Log House 1776 Restaurant of Wytheville, Virginia. And you might even get told a story or two to go with an unforgettable dining experience.
All right. The Edith Bolin Wilson Birthplace and Museum. Hello, everybody. I'm James from Fifth Wall Paranormal. My colleague Brandy was just speaking to you a while ago. She told me I needed to jump in here and let y'all fine folks know how I'm doing and whatnot. I'm great, and I'm going to read y'all this little bit of history about the History Museum kind of deal and give you some insight on what's over there and stuff like that. So anyway, so to look at the place, it's a little shabby brick building. I mean, they've done some renovation to it now, so it doesn't look as shabby as it used to. But it still has that look to it, and it's down on Main Street in Wytheville. So you got to come and check it out because it's Edith Bolin Wilson. She was like one of the first ladies and one of the first lady presidents of she was the first lady president of the United States. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, you can't. You
and the only Appalachian first lady.
Yeah, and you cannot run a country for your husband who had a stroke and couldn't run it at the time and not be president. You cannot be doing presidential things if you're not the actual president. There's no way. So that's one thing. But anyway, so let me read this to you and then we'll get to that. Anyway, it says, to look at it, the sort of shabby brick building located on Main Street in Wytheville, Virginia, one would never guess the former First Lady of the United States, Edith Bolin Wilson, was born in this little apartment on the top second floor of the building. Back then, she was just little Edith Bolin Wilson, or Edith Bolin, and her family lived in a series of apartments on the second floor after they lost their plantation and slaves when the war between North and South was lost. they moved here to Wytheville. Edith, of course, never experienced, the plantation life. She was born in Wytheville, and she loved it as it was her hometown. So, growing up, Edith took care of her grandma Bolin, who was an invalid, and the woman's 26 canaries. So she has a lot of birds. And the ladies over at the museum, they were so cool. They were so cool. I have to give them credit. Like, that's something y'all need to go do, is talk to those two ladies.
Mm-hmm.
They're awesome. Go to Wytheville, wherever you live, come to Wytheville, Virginia. Come and talk to the ladies at the Edith Bolin Wilson Museum. Talk to the two curators there. They're very insightful. They know what they're doing, and they love doing what they're doing.
Yep, you'll see their names later on some of the footage we got.
Yeah. Anyway, so they lived upstairs, and she grew up in the town of Wytheville, here in Wytheville, Virginia. Well, anyway, so growing up, she took care of her grandmother and her 26 canaries, and she took care of all of them. She took care of her grandmother, her canaries. I mean, everything. She had to do it all. It was a tough job for a little 13-year-old kid. But anyway, so her grandma Bowling in return started to educate Edith in school and that kind of thing, reading, writing, math, and all that good stuff. And that's how she learned. And, taught her how to behave in a way a young lady of, once prominent Southern family should. And maybe it was this classic charm that drew Woodrow Wilson's eye. And and maybe it was. I mean, you never can tell.
Southern girls.
Hey, they are kind of hot. I don't know what it is about them, but anyway, and the little girl from Appalachia, I mean, she would become Wilson's second wife and one of the most interesting first ladies in the United States has ever had. And that's true.
Mm-hmm.
If y'all go to the like I said, if y'all go to the Bolin Wilson the museum over there across from the hotel, that is something that you will love it. Just believe me.
Mm-hmm.
It's something to go to see.
They give you a bunch of little movies to watch, and it's really fabulous.
Yeah, it's an event. But anyway, she even ran the country from behind the scenes. Like I was telling you, she ran it because her husband had a stroke in office and then was recovering. So while she was doing that, some people even nicknamed her the secret president because of the way she run the country in behind the scenes, so her husband didn't look weak. That's the kind of woman she was. That's the kind of woman she was. The woman of her era. Because in that era, that's what a woman did. They backed her husband. They anything he did, they backed his play. They was right there with him. And that's the way it should be. And vice versa. But anyway, so, and also, like I said earlier, she was also what they called the first lady president. I don't care. People debate this all the time, but if you're running the country as the president of the United States, you are the president of the United States. I don't care if you're running it for the now president. So like Woodrow Wilson was the president, but she was running the country because he couldn't.
Yep, and he had a vice president that did not want to step in.
No, he never. The vice president. His vice president didn't want the job at all. He told her, do whatever you have to.
Yeah,
He said, I'm happy where I'm at. He said, I'll stay right here and you can do what you need to do. And so she ran the country for a while until Woodrow Wilson was strong enough to get back into the driver's seat and take back over. And now that's not to say, like the little ladies that, like I said, at the museum told us, they said that she took it whatever needed to be taken to the president and ask him, hey, what do I need to do with this? And let him tell her, like, hey, well, you need to fix it this way or that way. And then she would fix it, and then it would send out the order. So technically, she was running the country. Now, there were some things that she couldn't say yes or no to because she had to get his permission. But 90% of it she was doing on her own. She was running the country by herself. So that's where we get that she was the first lady president and the first female president ever. Literally. I mean, and there's no debating that. I don't see how you could debate that. But many people will. Anyway, the museum, besides now being one of 8 only in the United States dedicated to the First Lady, I mean, that's pretty bad that the First Ladies of the presidents aren't being, everybody else is being immortalized.
Yeah, well.
But what about the women that helped make them who they were?
Hey, well, there's 8.
Yeah, well, you know. And it does have, you know, and that does have its other interesting things buried in it, in its past. But, you know, it was said it was once a Civil War hospital before it was apartments. And the little ladies actually said that was true. And they said that it was the Durham restaurant at one time. Mm-hmm. And they said that was the last place, that's the last thing it was the Durham restaurant.
Before it was the museum.
Yeah, before it was a museum. And then once the restaurant closed, they opened the museum up and got the money and helped and got it restored and kind of back to where it was at when she left. Mm-hmm. Now, the upstairs they're still working on because they haven't gotten all the money yet to finish the upstairs. But they are getting it, but y'all's donations and stuff would help a lot more.
Mm-hmm. It's still fabulous to look at, though, and
yeah, the historical part of it.
When you're standing in there, you can hardly believe they raised such a huge family in that space.
Yeah, because there was 11 children,
plus Grandma Bowling.
Yeah,
and people that came to visit.
Yeah, and then you know, plus you got the mother, the father, and then 11 kids plus Grandma Bowling and 26 canaries. That's a little crowded in like a 6 little room space. And we're talking kitchen included.
Yeah.
So it's not a very big place. So, but yes, but like I said, hey, really, I mean, seriously, if you really want to go do something and see something and get, you know what I'm saying, like an awesome experience.
Because, hey, right now, not a lot to do during COVID.
Right, but that's one of the things you can do, and it's an awesome experience. And it is also said to be kind of haunted over there. Mm-hmm. The lady said they've never experienced nothing over there, but that's not to say it's not been something over there.
They specifically haven't, but others have.
But there's been cases where people have talked about it being, you know, haunted, where, you know, there was, you know, even video evidence of showing some stuff at one point. Mm-hmm. You can find that video on YouTube. Just look up the Edith Bolin Wilson Museum of Rocking Chair or whatever, and you could probably find it that way. Mm-hmm. So, and then you know, and you'd hear figures and voices and maybe even some chirping of a canary, mm-hmm. or 1 or 2. But that would be kind of creepy. Ugh. But to have a chirping bird in the background of, like, just out in the blue.
Well, when we go over our footage.
Well, you never know. But anyway, like I said, if you wish to have the tour or whatever, and you want to, you know, go and make reservations, you can do that. You can also email them or call them. To call them, it's 1-276-223-3484, or you can email them at info@edithbolinwilson.org. You know, and the precautions along with wearing a mask or keeping your, you know, group size to 6 or less and all that comes with it too. So anyway, other than that, that's about all we have for this session. We'll talk to you all later.
Okay.
And it was such a success that the builders thought, oh, we'll just add on.
Yeah.
And this was an outside wall. This, you can look and
Yeah, you can see where it's
that it was, and then
Yeah.
they added on this way. When it was built, the downstairs was designed to be commercial space.
right.
And the upstairs, the second floor, was designed to be living, an apartment, residential.
Exactly.
Look at, I love this. Look how the settling has occurred. Look at the foundation.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Crazy.
can see it where it's shifted and everything.
Yes, and yet the building still stands.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes you wonder how it worked.
Well, they did a really good job. And if you, when
They
you
did.
finish, and go down, look on the end of the building,
hmm
on the very end, and look back, it looks like this is a three-story building.
Right.
It's not.
It's got that
Right.
false
It's a
floor.
false floor. You're right.
Oh,
Look on the
okay,
edge and you'll
okay,
see that it's
yeah.
a false floor.
Okay.
Okay? You will
Wow.
see that. I'll tell you one more little thing. This is the building we're in.
hmm
Next door, this building no longer stands because you won't see it.
Right.
We have a bank there, all right?
Yeah. Progress.
And progress, yes, absolutely. But what happened, and I'm not from Wytheville,
Right.
but I have learned all of this as we have.
Right.
That was the home of E. Lee Trinkle, who
Okay.
was a governor of Virginia in the 1920s
Oh, okay.
from Wytheville. Thank you very
Ah.
much.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay. But
Yeah.
a governor.
Right.
When he passed away, nothing was done with his property. I don't know the whole story,
Yeah.
but no one took care of the property. No
Yeah.
one claimed the property, no one moved in. I don't know all the details.
Yeah.
The building deteriorated.
Yeah.
And in the 1950s, it was torn down because it was falling down. And
Yeah.
It was a danger.
Yeah.
And from what I have heard, historians and people interested in history in Wytheville said,
Yeah.
we should have done something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a governor. And we let
Exactly.
that, and I think it was a wake-up call.
Yeah.
And I think I believe that's one reason this building
Mm-hmm.
has survived, because people began to say, ooh,
Yeah.
there's
What
some
other
history here.
historic
what else
landmarks
is
are we
old
losing?
here?
Yeah, it's like
What
what
else-
other are we losing?
What should we take care of?
hmm
So I
Yeah.
like people to see that picture
Yeah.
and recognize that.
Yeah, that's
Definitely.
cool. That actually is cool though, because that just shows you like the
Well, people wake up. It takes sometimes a hit
Yeah.
on the head.
Yeah.
It shows you a lot, like how long it's been here, and the honestly the stages of how long it's been here too.
And the
'Cause you can see
construction
all the
was
shifting
wonderful.
in each thing that goes down.
But you can see the construction. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
you
still,
can see where it's at and how they did it and everything. that is,
Amazing.
yeah.
And this is a Girl Scouts
That's
uniform, right?
And that's exactly right. Edith was just at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, yeah.
The Girl Scouts
She
were getting.
seems to be in that
She was
situation
just,
a lot.
that's right. But the Girl
bet it's
Scouts were
not
getting
her
started, and
uniform.
they asked her to be honorary
Yeah.
president, and she thought, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good reason to do it.
Well, and future first ladies followed because it became a tradition.
Exactly.